y'all, today I'm getting ready to plant some herbs for my winter herb garden, and I want to plant them inside. So I need something that's going to be able to make sure they're watered because I am terrible at gardening. So I picked up Melnor's potted plant watering kit. The great thing about this is it's actually going to make sure that all 10 of my plants are going to be watered. So let's take a look into this and see how easy it is. The only thing that I need to set it up is a pair of scissors. Directions seem super simple, so let's figure this out. All right, so this is the control unit. This is what's gonna dictate how many times my plants get watered and for how many minutes. And all of these settings are on the back of the instructions to tell you how often to do it and what to set the controls for. There are all these little pieces for the tubing. This is what's gonna connect everything together. And then we have this big long thing of tubing. So first thing we wanna do is start cutting our tubing apart and getting everything set up. So the first thing you do is you want a good amount of tubing that's gonna sit in the bottom of your bucket or your bowl. I've got a bowl here that's gonna run from that into the control panel. So then you're gonna cut that little piece of tubing once it's long enough. And the great thing is, just a pair of scissors is all you need. So in the kit, we have all these little spikes. These little spikes go into each individual pot, and then the tubing just connects to that. So you'll hold these for just a couple minutes because we'll need those in just a minute. And then we have all of our little connector pieces that will connect the tubing to everything else. So the first thing you want to do is take the tubing and connect it to the bottom of the controller on the one that looks like a little bucket. You just take it, push it up in there. Okay, so that's connected. Next step is we are going to we're going to connect this piece to the other opening. And you just wiggle it on and it goes on pretty tight. You want it to be tight because that's what makes a snug connection, so you know you're not going to have leaks. And then you want to cut another piece of tubing so that it's long enough to run between your bucket and your first pot. And then you connect the tubing right to the bottom of that. Super simple. So now we've got two different pieces of tubing hanging out. One goes in our bucket and the one that's gonna start going to our first plant. And we're gonna set that aside for a few minutes. And now we are going to connect. Next we want to cut tubing that is going to connect each of our potted plants together. So you just want to cut the tubing long enough to run in between your plants and link together. And we'll link them together using all these little clips, handy dandy clips that come in the packet. So I'm going to work on that. I'm just going to cut 10 equal pieces so that I have one for each pot. So each little piece is going to be connected to one of the little spike strips, and then you have these little drip heads, and we are going to connect a drip head to the smaller end because that's what's going to stick in your plant, and the water is going to drip out and it's going to water each individual plant. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to put each one of these together. So now I have all 10 of my little drip heads connected to the wires, so I'll be able to set them in my plants and set everything up. Now if you have less than 10, you can use as many as you need. So now we have to connect them all. So we have all these little T-connectors, so we're gonna cut enough tubing so that we can connect them all together. Again, if you look at the back of the box, it shows how everything gets set up so that you can run it to all 10 plants. So what you do is you take 2 little pieces on each side and then connect one of your little drip heads in. So it looks like a little T. You're gonna go ahead and connect all of them so that way you have all of your drip heads connected together so that we can then connect it to the control. And at the end, there is a little end cap you just want to put on the last one so that this way it shuts off the water supply and it doesn't keep going. So all you want to do is go back to the beginning to the first one, and you want to attach that to your connector hose, the one that had the regulator on that. You connect that together, and now it's all put together. So then you would just put each little individual spike as you're potting your plants, put it in there so that the water can drip down in and water your plants. You can see I have all of my pots ready to go. I put my seeds in, I've got them all hooked up so the little drips are ready to drip, drip, drip and water my plants for me. So the last thing I need is 3 AA batteries. 3 AA batteries into the control unit. I'm going to connect this to that tubing that goes in the bucket, and I'm going to put that in my bucket of water. And I'm going to set my controls. My controls are set for on and now, so I set them to now so that it's going to just start dripping water. Now, as you can see, there's water dripping into each one of my little plants. So success! I now have my herb garden ready to go for the winter, and I'm so excited to start seeing my herbs. Good luck!